I never thought that being late for one class could detonate my entire life. But looking back, that single, frantic decision to duck into the wrong restroom was the spark that lit the fuse. My name is Leo, and at 20 years old, I was a master of invisibility. A computer science major at Crestwood University, my existence was an algorithm of social avoidance, coded in shades of gray and beige. I lived in baggy jeans that disguised my thin legs and oversized hoodies that swallowed my slender frame hole. My hoodie was my armor. It allowed me to glide through crowded hallways, a ghost in the machine, my eyes fixed on the cracked screen of my phone. I preferred the clean logic of Python to the messy, unpredictable code of human interaction. The digital world was where I felt powerful. The real world was where I felt like a glitch. That Tuesday morning was a disaster from the start. My alarm, for reasons my code-addled brain still can't fathom, failed to execute. I woke in a cold sweat, the clock on my nightstand blinking a cruel 9:22 a.m. My advanced data structures lecture with Professor Finch, a man who considered tardiness a personal and moral failing, started at 9:30. Being late wasn't an option. It was a death sentence for your GPA. I threw on yesterday's clothes and sprinted out of my dorm. The campus was a blur of green lawns and brick buildings, my lungs burning, my backpack slapping against my spine. As I rounded the corner to the science building, I saw him, Finch, standing sentinel by the entrance, tapping his watch with a look of thunderous impatience. Panic seized me. My brain, usually so adept at finding logical solutions, went into a full system crash. It offered up a single, terrible idea. To my right, a smaller, less used side door led to a hallway with a set of restrooms. The men's was further down, visible from where Finch stood guard. The women's was right there. No one will be in there, my panicked mind whispered. It's the middle of a lecture block. Duck in, wait 2 minutes for him to go inside, then slip into class. It was a stupid, reckless plan born of pure desperation. But I was desperate. I veered right, yanked the heavy door open, and slipped inside. The sign, a simple white silhouette of a figure in a dress, barely registered. The air inside was different, smelling faintly of cherry blossoms and chemical ambition. A stark contrast to the damp, vaguely unpleasant scent of the men's room. It was cleaner, brighter. The soft pink tiles seemed to hum. I held my breath, heart hammering, and listened. Silence. It was empty. I let out a shaky breath and leaned against the cool tile, waiting for the imaginary clock in my head to tick past the point of danger. When I decided it was safe, I cracked the door open. The hallway was empty. Finch was gone. A wave of relief washed over me. I had outsmarted fate. I pushed the door open, a smug little smile on my face, and walked directly into a wall of perfume and judgment. 3 young women stood there, blocking my exit. They weren't just students, they were campus royalty. The one in the center, with sharp, intelligent eyes and a smirk that could disarm armies, was Serafina, president of Sigma Alpha Chi, the most prestigious and enigmatic sorority on campus, known colloquially as the Sirens. To her right was a girl with dreamy, artistic eyes and long, seafoam green hair, her fingers fiddling with a makeup brush. This was Willow. And to Serafina's left, a girl with a razor-sharp bob and an outfit that looked like it had walked off a runway in Milan. Her gaze was analytical, dissecting me. That was Blair. My blood ran cold. I'm sorry, I stammered, my voice a squeak. I was late, the professor. I didn't think. Sho, Serafina said, her voice a low, amused purr as she circled me like a shark. We've had frat boys try to pull pranks, sure. But we've never had a lost little bird just wander into our sanctuary. She looked me up and down, a strange, speculative gleam in her eyes. You know, you have potential. Potential for what? Expulsion? Public humiliation? I tried to sidestep them, but Willow moved with surprising speed. She gently took my hand. Wait, she said, her voice much kinder. She turned my hand over, examining my fingers. Your hands are so delicate. No calluses. Look at your nail beds. She looked up at me, head tilted. Have you ever had a manicure? I snatched my hand back as if burned. What? No. I have to go. Not so fast, Serafina commanded, her playful tone gone, replaced by something compelling. We have a proposition for you. You see, we have a situation, a project, you could call it. And we need a blank canvas. Someone unassuming. Someone no one would ever suspect. Her eyes locked onto mine. Someone like you. Blair, silent until now, finally spoke, her voice cool and precise. The bone structure is good. High cheekbones, delicate jawline. The shoulders are a bit broad, but the hoodie hides that. The frame is slender. Very workable. It felt like they were discussing a piece of clay. I don't understand, my head was spinning. Serafina smiled, both terrifying and mesmerizing. It's simple. We're offering you a challenge. Let us turn you into one of us for 48 hours. I blinked. Turn me into a girl? Precisely, she confirmed. A complete transformation. Hair, makeup, clothes, the works. You live as a girl for 2 days, follow our instructions to the letter. If you succeed, we have a little chat with our friend on the board of trustees. Your tuition for next semester, wiped clean. My jaw dropped. A full semester's tuition. It was a life-changing amount of money. But the cost? My social invisibility was the only thing I had. No, I said, shaking my head. No way. I can't. Then Blair took a step closer, her voice a conspiratorial whisper only I could hear. I saw you, you know. When you first walked in, before you shut your eyes. My skirt. She smoothed down the dark green silk. You weren't just looking at it. You were studying it. The way the fabric draped. You were curious, weren't you? Her words hit me like a physical blow, because they were true. It was a fleeting, inexplicable thought, a flicker of static in my brain, but she had seen it. She had seen through my armor. My hesitation was all the opening Serafina needed. Think about it, Leo. 2 days. An adventure. And your financial burdens disappear. All you have to do is say yes. She extended her hand. It hung in the air between us, a formal invitation to another world. My mind was a war zone. The logical programmer in me screamed about the risks, the variables, the potential for catastrophic failure. But another part of me, a hidden part one had kept locked away, was intrigued. The part that was tired of being a ghost. Slowly, I lifted my hand and placed it in hers. Her grip was firm, sealing the deal. Serafina's smile widened. Excellent choice, she said, eyes sparkling with triumph. Welcome to Sigma Alpha Chi. The fun starts now. My appointment was at the Grecian-style mansion that served as the Sigma Alpha Chi house. Willow met me at the door, her smile disarmingly warm. Come on in. Don't be nervous. Easy for you to say, I mumbled. The interior smelled of vanilla and ambition. She led me upstairs to a room that looked like a professional salon. Blair was organizing a rack of clothes while Serafina sat in a velvet armchair, scrolling through her phone like a queen on her throne. Our project arrives, Serafina said without looking up. Willow, you can start with the foundation. Let's see what we're working with. You're going to have to take your jeans off, Willow said, handing me a fluffy white robe. And your shirt. My face flushed. I hesitated, clutching my hoodie. Serafina looked up, her eyes sharp. She rose and leaned in close, her voice a low whisper in my ear. Are you scared, Leo? Or are you excited? Her breath was warm against my skin. Was I excited? No, of course not. But my hesitation wasn't just fear. It was a strange, thrilling paralysis. With fumbling fingers, I pulled off my hoodie and jeans and wrapped the robe tightly around myself. Good boy, Serafina purred. The next 2 hours were a blur of new sensations. Willow started with a depilatory cream, smoothing the cool lotion over my legs, arms, and chest. When she scraped it away, all the dark, wiry hair was gone. I stared at my legs, stunned. They were pale and smooth, almost luminous. They didn't look like mine at all. Next came a manicure and pedicure. Nothing too loud, Blair mused, inspecting my hands. A sheer, pearlescent nude. Elegant but subtle. I watched, mesmerized, as Willow painted my nails with delicate, precise strokes. I flexed my fingers, admiring the way the light caught the pale, glossy surface. Then, Blair took over. All right. Time to get dressed. Stand up. She held up a set of garments that made my brain short-circuit, a delicate champagne-colored bra and matching panties made of silk and lace. I can't wear that, I stammered. You can and you will, Blair stated flatly. Fit is everything. The foundation garments create the silhouette. Mortified, I let her help me into the bra. The fabric was impossibly soft. She adjusted the straps, then handed me 2 silicone inserts. Chicken cutlets, she said with a smirk. They give you a subtle but necessary shape. The feeling of the silicone settling into the cups, creating a small, soft mound on my chest, was the most surreal moment yet. Okay, now for the main event, Blair said, pulling a dress from the rack. It was a beautiful, form-fitting sweater dress in a creamy white, with a high turtleneck and long sleeves. Simple, elegant, and terrifying. Serafina's voice cut through my hesitation. Having second thoughts, Leo? Remember the deal. Besides, don't you want to see her? Her? The word hung in the air. I let the robe fall. Blair held the dress open and I stepped into it. The soft cashmere blend hugged every line of my body. Ivy handed me a pair of thick, beige tights and low-heeled ankle boots. Finally, she led me to a full-length mirror. Okay, she said softly. Look. I lifted my eyes and forgot how to breathe. Staring back at me was a stranger, a tall, slender girl with wide, frightened eyes. The dress clung to a figure I didn't recognize. The subtle curve of the chest, the way the fabric nipped in at my waist and skimmed over my hips. It wasn't Leo wearing a dress. It was someone else. Wow, Willow breathed. Blair, you're a magician. The canvas was good, Blair replied, a hint of pride in her voice. Now for the finishing touches. The final stage was makeup. Willow filled in my eyebrows, added a touch of blush, and then moved to my eyes. Your eyes are your best feature, she murmured. Big and expressive. She drew a thin, perfect black line along my upper lash line. Her proximity was unnerving, intimate. A coat of mascara, a touch of tinted lip gloss, and she was done. The masterpiece is complete, Willow sighed. What should we call her? Serafina stepped forward, examining me in the mirror. She needs a name that's classic. Elegant. Amelia. She said it with such finality it was like a christening. Your name is Amelia. Look at yourself, Amelia. I looked. The girl in the mirror was still a stranger, but now her face was complete. The makeup made my eyes look enormous. It was my face, but transformed into something softer, prettier. A terrifying, exhilarating thought bubbled up from a place I'd sealed off long ago. What if I didn't just like being her? What if, in some strange way, I was her? Being Amelia wasn't just about looking the part, it was a performance. My first test came an hour later. All right, Amelia, Serafina announced. Time for your debut. We're going for a walk across the quad. They placed a long, brunette wig on my head, the soft hair falling in gentle waves. The last vestiges of Leo in the mirror vanished. Walking in the boots was a challenge, but as we stepped out onto the main campus quad, a strange thing happened. No one pointed or laughed. A few guys glanced over, an appreciative glance, not a mocking one. I was invisible again, but in a totally different way. I wasn't the nerdy ghost. I was just another pretty girl. The realization was both a relief and a thrill. Then Serafina dropped the next bombshell. Okay, next test. There's this guy, Julian. Captain of the basketball team. I want to know if he's genuinely a good guy. I need someone to get close to him, someone he doesn't know is connected to me. Me? I said, my voice unintentionally high with panic. You're perfect, she insisted. You're new, you're shy. We're going to the campus coffee shop. He's always there after practice. We're just going to accidentally run into him. Her plan was, of course, meticulously orchestrated. Julian was at a table near the window, handsome and intimidating. On my signal, you're going to trip, Serafina whispered. Before I could protest, she nudged me forward. Taking a deep breath, I let my ankle roll as I passed his table, pitching forward with a startled yelp. Strong hands caught me, an arm wrapping securely around my waist. I looked up and was suddenly very close to Julian's face. He'd pulled his earbuds out, his hazel eyes filled with genuine concern. Whoa there. You okay? He asked, his voice deeper and warmer than I'd expected. His hand was still resting on the small of my back, a point of heat through my dress. I couldn't speak. My entire brain had blue-screened. Amelia, are you all right? Serafina said, rushing to my side. I'm fine, I finally managed, pulling away from his grasp. The heel, it just caught. It's these ridiculous campus floors, Julian said with an easy smile, his eyes still on me. I'm Julian, by the way. Amelia, I said softly, tucking a strand of the wig behind my ear. The gesture felt surprisingly natural. It's nice to meet you, Amelia, he said, and his smile was genuine. It reached his eyes. After a few more pleasantries, we moved to a nearby table. I risked a glance back. He was looking at me, and he offered another small, friendly smile. Well done, Serafina whispered. You're a natural. I wasn't so sure. My pulse was still racing. It was the first time in my life a guy like that had ever looked at me with anything other than indifference. And it was all because I was Amelia. The thought was deeply unsettling. The next day, the test escalated. Serafina, claiming a sudden meeting, arranged for me to meet Julian for coffee alone, as a thank you. I can't go alone, I protested. You won't be, she assured me, holding up her phone. We'll be on a group chat the whole time. You're wing women. So there I was, dressed in another of Blair's selections, dark skinny jeans and a soft blush sweater, feeling like an operative on a deep-cover mission. The conversation started awkwardly, but I soon found myself relying less on their texts and more on my own instincts. He wasn't just a jock, he was smart and funny. He asked about my favorite artists, and I, drawing on a genuine interest in digital art, found myself talking passionately. Wow, he said, leaning forward. You have the most beautiful eyes. They really light up when you talk about something you love. The compliment was so direct, so sincere, it caught me completely off guard. I felt a real, genuine blush rise to my cheeks. In that moment, I forgot I was playing a part. I was just a person being seen by another person. And it felt incredible. I know you're just visiting, he said as we were leaving. But I'd really like to see you again before you go. There's a party tonight at the basketball house. Would you want to come with me? A new feeling was bubbling up inside me, a mix of terror and exhilarating confidence. It was the awakening of an instinct I never knew I had. The instinct to be wanted. The instinct to say yes. I'd love that, I heard Amelia say, a genuine smile spreading across her face. The hours leading up to the party were a whirlwind. The sorority house was a command center. Blair chose an edgier outfit, a black skater skirt, a silky emerald green top, and a fitted leather jacket. Willow dialed up the makeup, adding a smoky eye and a bolder lip. What am I, a science experiment? I muttered, feeling a growing unease. You're an investment, Leo, Serafina retorted coolly. And I expect a return. When Julian picked me up, my heart was a hummingbird in my chest. Wow, Amelia, he said, his smile dazzling. You look amazing. At the party, he guided me through the crowd with a protective hand on my lower back. He introduced me simply as Amelia, with a tone that was both proud and protective. We found a quieter corner on a back patio. The night air was cool, and I shivered slightly. Immediately, he shrugged off his flannel over shirt and draped it over my shoulders. It was warm from his body and smelled like his cologne, a clean, woodsy scent. The gesture was so simple, so genuinely kind, it made my carefully constructed composure start to crack. This wasn't an act. This guy, Julian, was real. He was decent and caring, and he was directing all of that toward a person who didn't actually exist. The thought sent a sharp pang of guilt through me. Later, he pulled me onto the makeshift dance floor for a slow song. He placed his hands gently on my waist, and I tentatively put mine on his shoulders. The world melted away until it was just the two of us. I rested my head against his chest, the wig's soft hair tickling my cheek. I could hear the steady beat of his heart. It felt so right. It felt like coming home to a place I'd never been. He pulled back slightly, his hazel eyes searching mine, full of a soft, undeniable emotion. Amelia, he murmured, his voice thick. And then he started to lean in. Panic, cold and absolute, flooded my system. He's kissing Amelia, a voice screamed in my head. He's kissing the wig, and the makeup, and the silicone cutlets. He's kissing a lie. I couldn't do it. It felt like the ultimate betrayal. Just before his lips touched mine, I turned my head away. I can't, I whispered, the words choked with nausea. Julian pulled back immediately, his expression shifting from affection to confusion and concern. Amelia, what's wrong? Did I do something? No, I said, shaking my head frantically. It's not you. I don't feel well. I pushed away from him and fled, ignoring his voice calling my name. I found the nearest bathroom, slammed the door, and stared at my reflection. Amelia stared back, but now she looked like a tragic clown, her lipstick slightly smudged, her eyes wide with panic. Tears began to stream down my cheeks, carving black tracks of mascara through the perfect foundation. I was crying for the boy outside the door I was deceiving, for the girl in the mirror who wasn't real, and for myself, Leo, lost somewhere in the middle. The dare was over. But it had stopped being a game the moment Julian smiled at me. And now it was breaking my heart. By morning, the tears had dried, leaving behind a hollow, fragile clarity. I had to tell him the truth. I borrowed a pair of plain jeans and a gray sweater from Blair's endless collection. With a makeup wipe, I scrubbed away every trace of Amelia. The transformation back was faster, but infinitely more painful. I took off the wig, my own short hair feeling foreign. I texted him from my own phone. Me, can we meet? Old oak tree by the lake in an hour. There's something I have to tell you. It's Leo. And also Amelia. He was already there, pacing. When he saw me approaching, he started forward in relief, then stopped dead. His eyes widened, his brow furrowed in confusion as he took in my short hair, my bare face, my flat chest under the simple sweater. Julian, I said, my own voice sounding rough and unfamiliar. My real name is Leo. The words tumbled out of me in a frantic, desperate rush. I told him everything: the late class, the dare, the tuition. It all started as a stupid game, I said, my voice cracking, tears welling up. But then I met you, and it stopped being a game. Everything I felt, everything we talked about, that was real. The person you connected with, that was me. I looked different. I finished, my chest heaving, prepared for the explosion. Julian was silent for a long, agonizing moment. Then, to my utter astonishment, a slow, wry smile touched his lips. He let out a soft laugh, shaking his head. You know, he said, his voice quiet and steady, I'm not a detective. But I'm not an idiot either. I blinked. What? Your hands, he said, taking a step closer. They were soft, but they were still a guy's hands. The way you knew so much about Python for an art history major. The way your voice, when you got excited, would sometimes dip a little lower. He shrugged. I knew something was up. I just didn't imagine the story was quite this good. My jaw dropped. You knew. I knew I was intrigued, he clarified, closing the distance between us. But here's the thing, Leo. I didn't care. I told you I had a great time talking to you, and I meant it. I wasn't talking to the makeup or the dress. I was talking to the person with the beautiful, expressive eyes, who gets passionate about old sci-fi movies. He was standing right in front of me now. He reached out and gently wiped a stray tear from my cheek. The gesture was so tender it made me gasp. So, he said softly, his hazel eyes holding mine. This is you. The real you. I could only nod, unable to speak. Good, he whispered. It's nice to officially meet you, Leo. And then he did what I had run from the night before. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. But this time, I didn't. This time, there were no lies between us. I met him halfway, and his lips gently met mine. The kiss was soft, tentative, and more real than anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't about a boy kissing a girl or a boy kissing a boy. It was just me, Leo, kissing Julian. In the distance, hidden behind a cluster of trees, I thought I saw a flash of seafoam green hair and two other figures, watching their project come to a conclusion they had never planned for. And they were smiling. The story didn't end there. It was just the beginning. I didn't have to choose between Leo and Amelia. I was both. I became the first and only male member of Sigma Alpha Chi. They called me their secret weapon. Willow taught me how to do my own makeup. Blair helped me build a wardrobe that blended styles, clothes that felt like me. Sometimes I was Leo, the CS major who just happened to have killer eyebrows. Other times, for parties or just for fun, I was Amelia, confident and radiant. Julian and I started dating openly. At first, there were stares and whispers, but he never wavered. He'd hold my hand walking across the quad, whether I was in jeans and a hoodie or a skirt and heels. His acceptance gave me the courage to accept myself. My life, once coated in monochrome, was suddenly bursting with color and complexity. It wasn't a simple binary of male or female, hidden or seen. It was a beautiful, messy, wonderful spectrum. And for the first time, standing in the sunlight, holding the hand of the boy I loved, I was no longer a glitch in the system. I was the entire beautiful, chaotic source code.